We've been talking, haven't we, for as long as this platform's been going, about police and policing in this country. Sometimes they get it right, busting some sort of major methamphetamine ring or actually deciding that they will police bad people. Sometimes they get it wrong and we get very annoyed and grievanced about that. But as a general rule, we have a view, I think, in New Zealand that police and policing aren't the way they used to be. And that we're not all that sure that's a good thing, are we? Because we quite like the idea of a whole bunch of six-footers, quite intimidating, much stronger than the people they were arresting, going around saying, hello, 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 and wandering up and down CBDs and main streets everywhere. We quite like that. It was sort of old-fashioned policing. And that they'd give your kid a kick up the bum, literally, if they were seen stealing, send them home, and, everybody was happy. It was the old-fashioned policing, all right? It was very good. And when they gave evidence in the court, Josh, everyone would believe them. Of course they would. They were the police. They had instant credibility. In fact, Josh, I remember the days before firemen, for some strange reason, it should be volunteer firemen, but anyhow, where firemen were the most trusted vocational professional, the most respected, it was number one right up there was the police. They were ahead of doctors and surgeons and firemen and everybody else, certainly well ahead of teachers, but it was always the police up there. And now we go, oh God, what's happened to the police? They look weak and anemic. They all look like they need a decent feed. Half of them have got tattoos in the wrong place, can I just say. They all look small and tiny, and you think, no wonder they usher through the mongrel mob to their latest tangi, because, God, what use would they be? A good wind would blow them apart. And then, of course, we know all the times in which we're stuffed up recent murder investigations, and people have walked free who shouldn't be walked free, or have been imprisoned who shouldn't be imprisoned. It's sort of like, you've stuffed all that out, really, haven't you? Anyhow, so it's a bit of a quandary. For some strange reason, though, we want more of them. I mean, that was one of the big issues in 2023 election. We want more police. We want more police because I guess the police there at the moment either aren't doing their job, they aren't big enough or imposing enough, or just that, crimes have got a bit out of control. But it doesn't matter what the reasons were. At the last election, New Zealanders almost en masse, even if they were in the Labour Party, said we need more cops. More cops, more arrests, less antisocial behaviour, less bad people on our streets, bigger prisons. Well, we're prepared to compensate for that as well. Off you go. So, and this government came in on the basis that we're going to recruit an extra 500 police. And we've talked about that on the show a number of occasions. And everybody, I think, says it's a good thing. Does anybody disagree that we need more police? I suppose you might make the argument that they're so inefficiently and inexpertly organised that we probably don't need more of them. It's a bit like civil servants. You just need them doing their job properly, and they're not a very efficient organisation. You could make that argument, but I think we all like the idea. It's a simple solution for us. Give us an extra few cops, will you? And hopefully they'll end up, walking the beat in our place, or actually, when we are burgled, they'll actually turn up. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Or alternatively, somebody hits us somewhere that they'll actually investigate. The old-fashioned policing might just come back with that extra 500. Vain hope there. Anyhow, well, there's this fuss happening at the moment because a senior police officer, Assistant Commissioner Jill Rogers, a woman. Oh, God, a female police officer. That high in the ranks. Well, there you go. Britain's full of them. Can't look at how Britain police... Oh, no, don't look at how Britain police is going, because, dear Lord, it's all to hell in a handbasket. You think New Zealand police are bad, go and have a look at the British police. No, we won't go there and use that as an example. And if that's what women, female police officers do at the highest echelons, okay. No, that's not an argument, Michael. Go back up. All right. Anyhow, Assistant Commissioner Jill Rogers is apparently in line to be the Deputy Police Commissioner. Yeah. Well, she hasn't been watching pornography lately. She hasn't been stealing anything. She hasn't been speeding in a car and saying, nothing to see here, officer. She is in line to be the Deputy Commissioner of Police. But unfortunately, she has been, bending the rules. You'll remember that what we were starting to get really worried about when the 500 extra police were recruited was that the quality was dropping. So people who had basically come out of special school, or alternatively were 5'3" and crippled, or alternatively were blind and could not see, they were being recruited into the police as well. And we went, oh no, that's not a very good thing, you know. So there are standards set, and one of them is a physical standard. You know, it's really useful if you're chasing police that you don't give up after 50 metres because you're puffed, all right? Or you actually can go over the fence to rescue the person from the burning house because you can go over the fence. You don't have to go, oh, I think I'll wait for somebody to bring a ladder, you know, that sort of stuff. So this sort of PAT test, as they call it, it's a physical appraisal test, is given to all recruits so that you can be of a certain physical standard to theoretically match the fact that you can read and write as well. Again, that's theoretically match the idea you can read and write as well. And you'll get, therefore, admission into the police college to be trained. Well, now, unfortunately, the police have confirmed that the lady who is in charge of this, Assistant Commissioner Jill Rogers, and remember, the police commissioner said, no, we haven't been doing that. And Mark Mitchell said, nah, not happening on my watch. But in actual fact, we've now discovered that despite those assurances from both the police commissioner and from police Minister Mark Mitchell, the Assistant Commissioner, Jill Rogers, who is in charge of training and development, she's in charge of it. All right, she's the numero uno. She's allowed at least 2 applicants who failed the physical appraisal test to begin training at police college. So they've failed it. But you still get into police college. Oh, yeah? It's either a compulsory test or it's not. No, it's not. In addition to which, now the police are investigating whether Assistant Commissioner Jill Rogers has actually approved other exemptions in more than just those 2 instances in the last year. Quote, we are searching available documentation to confirm this number, they are saying. And she is one of the leading candidates, as I've said, Jill Rogers, to replace Jevon McSkimming as the next Deputy Police Commissioner. Now, the admission that she has bent the rules, and in what context, we do not know. The admission we know, but in what context we don't. And the fact that there was something that the police commissioner said wasn't happening, and so did Police Minister Mark Mitchell when it was, is an issue I would have thought of significant credibility for both the police and, ironically, for its minister. Now, in some ways you can't blame Mark Mitchell. He gets assurances from his police. There's a sort of a cleavage, wrongly in my view, too much of a cleavage between the political Minister of Police and between the police commissioner, which doesn't exist in other government departments, but for reasons largely of the fact that apparently a Minister of Police could somehow interfere in investigations, which is nonsense, but there you go. That cleavage is getting wider. But anyhow, he's relied on a series of assurances that have turned out not to be right. We know that there have been 120. No, wait for these exemptions, shall we? This is just set your teeth on edge. The audit that they did, this was prior to these exemptions being granted, found that 17 police college applicants failed the fitness test, but were allowed to complete parts of the assessment on different dates. That breached the policy. They found 128 candidates failed a basic literacy assessment. They couldn't read or write, for God's sake. I mean, how appalling is that to any degree of standard? And that 36 recruits, wait for this is even more scary, failed psychometric testing. Now, that's to work out if you're a schizophrenic. No, it's not to work out if you're mentally ill. It's to work out, well, you are sort of, if you're a megalomaniac, or you work out if you are a psychopath, or work out if you're a sociopath. You know, that's what you do psychometric testing for. 36 of the police. Oh, God, next time you talk to a policeman, just be careful. Oh, did you pass your psychometric test or not? Anyhow, all those are underway. Can I say, the combination of all this has led to this credibility of confidence, this loss of confidence that we have in the New Zealand police at the moment. And nothing's getting better anytime soon. Now, we knew things were bad under the previous regime, And we liked the idea of a centre-right government coming in and sorting this stuff out. But that it's still happening in 2025 fills us with no particular confidence at all. And all I'm just saying is if the police want to be separate from the political system, if they want to be able to manage themselves free largely of political interference, and that the Minister of Police really just sits there and sort of says, well, this is how much funding you've got, and takes those particular pleas to Cabinet, and that's roughly it in terms of direction of police policy, then can I just say to the New Zealand Police, you need to pull your act together. You need to get game. You need to, in actual fact, enact and be honest about the policies that you're not enacting at the moment that can give us some degree of confidence that the people that you're putting on the street, A, know what they're doing, B, can physically handle it, C, aren't psychos, and D, can actually read and write, so when they get back and they're presenting evidence, whether it's just to a report, to an insurance company, for God's sake, or to a court, people can actually understand and read it. Or not, they don't need some sort of reader-writer to assist them with that particular task. The New Zealand Police is got a crisis of confidence, as I said, at the moment. A large numbers of police have left, citing a lack of professionalism, a lack of resources, and also a lack of credibility of their own leadership. And they're not talking about the political leaders, they're talking about the dudes that sit at the top in the upper Molesworth Street in the Police National Headquarters. Until those people can get their act together, why would the rest of us have confidence as it stems through? And I have to say, can I just say to every serving police officer in this country, my absolute sympathy with you. I know you do a dog of a job. You do a dog of a job on a regular basis. It's not a job that is made for most New Zealanders, and I would shy away from it given the opportunity, even if I was on welfare and destitute. I don't think I could ever be a policeman. And so I appreciate the job, the sacrifices, the danger in which you put yourselves as a group of our uniformed people. But you are being let down by your leadership on a routine and regular basis, and it is not good enough. Those are my thoughts this morning. What are yours?